Hello, everybody. Hi, Blake.
Hello.
How are
Brian.
things on your end? How's the spring treating you? Do you feel sprung?
Yeah, it's nice. The weather's warming up.
So nice.
Can't
So
complain
nice.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on some projects. I got a power washer. Oh my goodness, Blake. Have you ever had the pleasure of using a power washer and just like freshening your entire space? You just can't believe what it actually was because you got so used to it being that way. It's like fresh new concrete compared to like, I don't know, something out of Lord of the Rings, overgrown with moss and little fuzzies and just a haze of film. You ever had the pleasure?
I have. It's been a while, but yeah, it's a nice little tool to have. Absolutely. You rented one?
No, I did not rent it. I got it. My God, I mean, around the water barrel, I encourage everybody out there to be prepared. Actually, while I was hanging out, I had a very strange human being walk past me in a very strange way. Be prepared, everybody. But water catchment. I encourage everybody to get some sort of a rain barrel to catch the water and just kind of using the power washer to clean up all of that mold and mildew and residue and just mossy green film, just kind of everything attached. You give it a once over. They call it spring cleaning, Blake. Spring cleaning. Do you do the Marie Kondo? If it doesn't give you joy, you get it out of your life. You live minimalistically. I know you've been on the road. You've been in an RV. You've been place to place. Is that how you live, or are you an accumulator of things?
A little bit of both, but I have not moved into a new residence where I'm like, this is going to be my home for the next 20 years. Not that
Right.
I intend to like hoard stuff, but it certainly plays a role. Like I could buy stuff, but I'm like, well, am I going to take that with me again if I move again? Because I'm on a, I'm here where I'm at right now temporarily. It could be a year, but probably not anything beyond that. Not sure yet.
You know, the weird thing is, Blake,
Yeah.
we're all just here temporarily. You know, I mean, we've all had loss of people close to us and maybe people younger than us. I mean, everything is temporary. And that's kind of the point. I went to go see, I don't know, I just went out to the comedy club yesterday. I'm like, I don't know. I felt drawn. I felt compelled. And it was Tom Green. And it was fun. Said hi to him afterward. I said, I also fled California during the pandemic. He's living up in Canada now. But yeah, I mean, a kindred spirit. Joe Rogan kind of credits him as being the founder of the podcast. You know, Adam Carolla gets credit in one regard, but Rogan often says he went to Tom Green's place and he had it set up in his apartment like a studio. He goes, "Oh my God." And that's where he got the idea to kind of build the Joe Rogan show the way that he did. So like it was all interconnected. But yeah, I just felt like doing something and I went and did it because we're all only wherever we happen to be temporarily. So encourage everybody out there to do a spring cleaning in your life. Just really kind of take a few minutes and sift through some stuff, donate some things, trash some stuff, power wash some things, remove the crud. Hit refresh. It's a fresh new spring. It's a fresh new year. It's a fresh new you. Do not allow yourself to be black-pilled. If we kind of just live in these self-perpetuating cycles of, I don't know, bad news, and we're just in an echo chamber of negativity, we're losing the point. Get outside, get some fresh air, work on a project, talk to your neighbors, like be a human, and also be prepared. Thank you for joining us today. It is Thursday, April 18, 2024. That guy is Blake Walley. You can find him. He is at thenextlevelnews.com, where things are archived, and follow him on X. He is at TV's BLAKE WALLEY. This is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. My name is Brian Engelman, and I appreciate each and every one of you finding us and following us. Please share with your friends. Connect with the algorithm, like it, subscribe. We need people on Rumble, on Spotify. Find us in all of the places. Meta just started messing with us on our Instagram feed. So be sure that you're following us on X. We're at American_media_. On Telegram, we're TNAM and TNAM Chat. Rumble, The New American Media. The Agree to Disagree Show is the Spotify podcast. And Truth Social, The New American Media. Of course, if you like us, check out patreon.com/The New American Media and buy us a cup of coffee if you would. All right, today on today's show, we're going to discuss what are Democrats doing because they can't beat Trump on the issues. Is it what's happening? We'll discuss. We're also going to discuss Mayorkas and articles of impeachment, treason. What is going on? Who is it that actually violated the Constitution? We'll unpack it. Also, Trump, you know that guy. He's running for president. He wants to be your president. Will he lose voters if he continues his support for Speaker Mike Johnson? By the way, that's our question of the day. Go ahead and put it below. Type it right now. Ken and everybody else, whoever is leaving your comments. What Speaker Johnson, how would you grade him so far? Is he an F? Is he an A+? Is he a C? Give us the letter grade and tell us why. That's our question of the day. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to ask, what is wonderfully poetic that's happening right now regarding President Trump? Like the lyrics of a songbird. We'll discuss that in a moment. Also, who should be allowed to vote? You know, who should be allowed to vote? Where do they get to vote? We said on last show, hey, who gets to vote on the people that go into Cooperstown for the Baseball Hall of Fame? I don't know. Anybody? I don't know, a select group of people that have a vested interest in making sure that everything's okay. So let's discuss once again, because it seems to be the only plan in the Democrat playbook, who's voting and where. And also, what should we teach kids in school, in history class? You know, the isms. Oh, I got a great story about this one. We'll let Blake unpack it, and then I'll tell you about my philosophy teacher who ended up killing himself. Don't recommend any violence, of course. And now, because I said those two words together, the AI flags have found us. The AI flags that flagged us on Meta because we mentioned fractional reserve banking. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious, Blake. The levels of censorship. It's like you never know when you're going to find a magical word. But yeah. The isms. This teacher, he left the place, and I will tell you that story. I'll give you the quick version. I think I've told this story before, but we'll talk about it. How do we discuss the isms, especially communism? What is the number one challenge going on right now? Which amendment is the number one challenge regarding the censorship of bad information, misinformation? Once again, if you're the police, who will police the police? I don't know, Coast Guard. And finally, comedian David Chappelle. Speaking of comics earlier, yeah, like those late 90s, early 2000s, Dave Chappelle and Tom Green, man, that was like MTV and all over the place. Comedy Central. Comedian Dave Chappelle, was he visited for a correction on his views? Now, we're going to unpack that one, but that kind of implies that you believe that we still have the original Dave Chappelle. So I don't know about any of that. Regardless, we're going to get into all of these topics and more right now on the Agree to Disagree show. All right, Kenneth is giving a D-. We'll talk about that. We'll see if Blake thinks that's a fair grade on Speaker Johnson. Dreamer says Speaker Johnson is terrible, but Trump won't lose a single vote because people who might be swayed are just not paying attention. Who's undecided? Is there a single undecided voter anywhere? You know, Tom Green actually said he doesn't have an opinion. He's from Canada. But he talked about Trudeau, and he was really trying to avoid politics yesterday. He said so quite specifically. I think this is like the perfect time to have actual conversations. Just gotta kind of be funny about it, you know. But yeah, Trudeau up there in Canada. I've been hoping for so long that they'd have some real representation. So many of these places. Just the leadership is backwards. But yeah, who's paying attention to these things? But who's undecided? Find me somebody that's undecided. We'll talk about Trump and who
independents, libertarians, right?
Libertarians are undecided.
Independents, right? There's probably some, yeah.
I mean, how many people are we talking about here? Like a fraction of a half of a.
Not a huge portion, but enough to make a difference, I suppose.
And
But I
what,
don't think there's people that are on the fence of, do I vote for Biden or Trump? I think most people have their minds made up. But are people going to buy, third party? Are they going to go for Trump or Biden instead? Maybe, maybe not. I was persuaded in 2004 I was going to vote for the Libertarian candidate. But then I talked to my mom, and she persuaded me to vote for John Kerry. Had to get rid of Bush, the lesser of two evils. Oh, that's fine. Fuck Bush and Cheney. They should all be in a jail cell somewhere. So yeah, it was a fine vote. I mean, I was throwing it away on Michael Badnarik, who was a good guy, but zero chance of winning the Libertarian winning presidency. So I was get rid of the warmongers.
You said Michael
terrorists.
Michael Badnarik. Who was he again? He was the Libertarian
candidate for president in 2004. He's a good man. He passed away, but he was a good dude.
Yeah, just I don't know. Like I keep referencing the Tom Green, but he was saying about people these days and the algorithm getting you fired up and just instantly you're political. Like he goes, I couldn't imagine being 7 years old yelling at one of my classmates about Michael Dukakis. But it's like you have these phones and it's like your team tells you you're supposed to be outraged about this. Go yell at somebody. Go make a difference in the world. It's like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. None of these stories, like no matter how much we cover them, no matter how much we research, we're reporting what's being reported. I can't verify any of this shit anymore. It's nearly impossible to try to figure out what's real and what's not. Kenneth mentions that his friend Humpty may be swayed in the 2024 race. Is that Hubert H. Humpty Metrodome, Blake? Is that where Kirby Puckett played ball?
Well, Humphrey was a strong candidate back in 68, 64. I think President Nixon actually refused to debate him, I believe.
Oh,
because he had a poor showing against John F. Kennedy, and so he didn't want to do it again, and so he refused. Also with McGovern, he didn't also did because they're talking about Biden ducking Trump in this year's debates. So they're going back to the last time that there was no debate, and that was I believe McGovern versus Nixon, but he also ducked Hubert H. Humphrey, who was a formidable candidate back in the 60s.
Yes,
Hubert
H. Humpty.
Guy. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Democrats, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that they are using lawfare because they can't beat Trump on the issues? What say you? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to agree. So they either got to jail their political opposition. What are you doing here, Brian? Yeah, or at least make the illusion of trying to go after, launch another fishing expedition, try to paint him as some kind of a criminal in the electorate's up. Ryan, all right.
I'm trying to go to you, Blake. Here we go.
Okay, there we go. All right.
I'm trying to give you full. You got to give me a second because there's a lag.
Yeah, I didn't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're goofing off or what. Okay,
I got it. When in doubt, all right, here, let's.
Maybe you're looking away. I'm like, what is going on here?
And let's do this for everyone who wants to know how the sausage is made. So Blake and I are obviously not in the same studio. So for future reference, when that starts glitching or whatever, when in doubt, give it 20 seconds to see if it switches the screen from one format to another, because I only have the option to start where I start. I can't preset it. So that was the game plan. I was giving you the full stage, sir.
Okay, I got you. Wasn't quite sure where we were going. All right, but anyway, and the only issue with me going on the full screen here is that my internet is lousy. It looks good to me right now, but on the other end, probably a little overly pixelated, but that's okay. I got to make do with the equipment that I have, but it's all good. But anyway, yes, I would agree. In fact, this is a quote I ripped off from Stephen A. Smith, who's been very vocal with this election coming up. So let me pull up. This is his words, saying that Democrat lawfare against Trump proves they're scared. They can't beat him on the issues. Yeah, then they're trying to lock him down in this latest attempt in New York, this old 8-year-old, hush money trial. And the judge is going to make him, appear in court every day over the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's blatant election interference. It's, they literally, trumped up the charges against him.
And by the way, also the decree. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
There's a thought that he might not be allowed to go to his son's Baron's graduation. There's talk that he won't be able to go attend the Supreme Court case. I believe it's the Supreme Court case about more election interference because he's going to be tied up in one courtroom and can't go to the other one. It's insanity. None of this stuff passes the Joe Biden sniff test. This isn't even remotely logical. This isn't legal. None of this stuff should be permittable. So, I mean, we are past the point that the Supreme Court really should be jumping in here to kind of square some of this stuff up and dismiss some of this shit and get past it. I mean, it's going to play out as slowly as it will, but I mean, he can't go to graduation. And I think it's the Supreme Court case, right, Blake? Or it's another court case that he can't go to because he has to stay in this BS New York.
I'm not sure. Yeah, they're locking him down, and yeah, the issue is yes, his graduation for his son is next month. I think it's May 17th or whatever. But it's amazing that they're going to make him be at this trial, which is just it's 8 years old. I thought it was like a dead issue. It is not an important thing. This is a former president, and this might have been something that was interesting, when he was running in 2016. Now it's clearly it's old. They've had to, manufacture this into like felony charges, which it shouldn't be. So yes, but I mean, would they be doing that if they didn't consider him a threat? If they thought, oh, we're going to just beat Trump in a landslide, Biden's got this easily, would they be making all this effort to go after him at every angle for every stupid thing? So a lot of us aren't buying it, including, Stephen A. Smith, who's got some, real courage, balls to go against the establishment here. He works behind the enemy lines at, woke ESPN. So, but yes.
Do we have a video of what he says? I know him and Sage Steele. I mean, they're sounding a lot like Clay Travis and Brian Engelman right now. I mean, we do the Unhappy Hour sports show, and it really seems like Sage Steele and Kurt Schilling and Stephen A. Smith, occasionally Charles Barkley, although he's a little wacky, but it seems like more and more people are starting to break their forced silence. ABC, ESPN, Disney do not want anybody to have opinions that do not match the Democrat Party. And it's bullshit. It's insanity. There's a lot of people that are allowed to have different opinions on as many issues as they want. But these corporations are just jamming it down your throat like NPR and ABC, ESPN, Disney. So, yeah, I'd love to hear what Stephen A. has to say.
I thought Schilling was chased out like in 2016.
Yeah, it was because they were passing a law in Charlotte that a guy could go into the bathroom with a little girl or something. And so we shared a meme and they fired him. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a guy not wanting his daughter to be in a bathroom with a guy. There's nothing like this isn't an issue, but ESPN just terminates people. ESPN, they're vindictive and they make an example out of a couple people to make sure everybody else stays in line. It's like what is that, a Bug's Life or an Ant's Life or something? If they knew the power they had, there's like 10 of us and there's a million of them. All they got to do is one of them rises up, then they'll all rise up, and we have no chance. So anyway, yeah, let's hear Stephen A.
Okay.
To my liberal friends out there, all you're doing is showing that you're scared you can't beat them on the issues and the merits. That's why he keeps saying it's a political campaign against me. That's why he keeps saying they can't beat me at the election, at the polls. This is the only way they could do it. And if you don't put him in jail, and he still goes from being the presumptive GOP nominee to the official GOP nominee, and he goes to the polls, even though he was going to whine about winning and being rigged again, you have given more fodder to that argument, which means we'll never have peace in this country because tens of millions of people see what extent the other side is willing to go through just to keep him out of office because they can't beat him on their own merits. And they're going to say, hey, You trump this up against them again, and we'll have no peace. When all you got to do is figure out a way to beat them on the issues. But you haven't been able to do it.
They can't. What issue are they going to beat them on?
No,
the open borders are a good thing, that it's, okay to give, secretly give your kids puberty blockers? Or, I mean, what do the Democrats even stand for these days?
Secretly giving a child a puberty blocker behind the backs of the parents, getting the legal system involved to force and pry kids out of their families' hands. This is what the Democrats have to offer. I was going to do an opening on today's show. I was going to title it, "Everything is Fine." Everything's fine. And I was going to rattle off all the things that are fine. Maybe I'll do that next show. But yeah, Blake, I mean, you could go down a laundry list. Like, name one single issue that the Democrats win on. A singular place.
Not anymore.
Any sense.
Oh, it was great in 2004. Yeah, when it was, Kerry or getting rid of the Bushes. They actually had something to fight for. But now I don't get what they're standing for these days. Doesn't make any sense. They've been just radicalized. They've gone way too far left.
They sure have. And Dreamer says that's good to hear from a guy like Stephen A. It is. It gives you never know when. I've had a lot of messages like this over the years at the New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show, the Unhappy Hour for that matter. But I've had a lot of messages over the years like, hey, I just wanted to check in. Like, I don't know you, but like, here's how I got in the group, or here's how I ended. Like, just know that there's a lot of us out there that are watching, that are listening, that are scrolling, that are expanding and reading, tapping on comments to follow conversations. Like, if you're not getting the engagement that you should be, just know that there are people out there that are watching, that are reading, that are thinking about all of this stuff. And like, all of those efforts are appreciated. So you never know when someone like Stephen A will get the next person to speak up, to help find your fucking voice. Everybody's walking on eggshells, being scared of getting canceled. It's like, there is no American society. There is no American freedom if you have those shadows lurking over your shoulders all day. So yeah, it's good to hear a guy like Stephen A. Let's encourage a few more. I know Tulsi Gabbard was just on with Corolla. I haven't seen the episode yet, but Tulsi Gabbard's another interesting one. People that left the Democrat Party, people that are tired of the shit, just done with it. That's the energy that we need.
And so, the guy from NPR that spoke out against the bias.
We should interview that guy. Do you know his name? Can you invite him on the show? I don't know who. Or
Uri something. Yeah, I'd have to look
Yuri.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to invite him on. That'd be great. But anyway, that guy right there that's eating, he's fantastic.
Yeah, like I'm mentioning, 2004, the Democrats had things to run on, anti-war. There was no WMDs in Iraq. We shouldn't have gotten involved. They were fighting for, say, equality for gays, let them get married, whatever, legalize marijuana, basic, things. But now it's completely different. But I think this video sums it up pretty nicely in regards to that and the kind of the slippery slope. Like, they had it, they won, and then they decided to push it off the rails. So let's roll this quick clip.
Love is love. We just want acceptance. We just want equality. Bake the cake or go to court.
Yeah, it was like, okay, yeah, you get your gay marriage, you got your full rights, you're real people, and those are your decisions, and what happens in your bedroom is your business. To all of a sudden, you're gonna force Christian bakeries to bake your gay wedding cake, and then you're gonna lose your business. I mean, it escalated very quickly, and then
say my pronouns
or lose your job.
That's where we got to put the Will Ferrell. Well, that escalated quickly. That
Yeah,
little
pretty
meme
much.
from Anchorman, that
Yep.
escalated quickly.
And then finally,
Your kids will watch drag shows.
your kids will watch drag shows. And then, yes, your kids will get puberty blockers. Your kids will get taken by the state and will chop their parts off because they think that they might be other sex. It's
Man,
insane.
there were studies that just came out talking about the percentage of children who outgrow that as a phase. Yeah, that's what we've been saying this entire time. Like some people to varying degrees have been, in and out of those phases. You can't really make those life-altering decisions until you're 18. And if there's a chance you're going to grow out of this phase, like, protect the integrity of the working systems that the people have. Like, these are basic positions that are derived from love and respect and hope that everybody can live a great life. Like, it's just cautioning it's issuing the warning of, my God, you could do irreversible damage to yourself. And the regret stories they're just terrible to hear. They're monstrous.
Right. It's bottom line is it's not a winning issue, and Democrats have lost their identity, lost their way. They're not appealing to anybody, and they can't fight Trump on these common sense issues that we should all agree on. So now they're just using these cheap lawfare tactics.
What is that image under Dave B? Is that a
waving? He's saying hello. That's Dave Barra. Say hello.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. So yeah, the Democrats using lawfare to get past Trump. It is what it is. Do we have anything else to add on this one? I mean, we're just all of these trials. They put them in the smoothie blender and mix them around. It's how do you even keep track anymore? But I guess we're just watching it, waiting for big developments. I mean, could you imagine somebody convincing a judge as if this wasn't just preordained in a kangaroo court style charade trial? How could anybody be deemed unbiased as an impartial juror who could just, there is no crime here. And Stormy, she did write a letter and sign it in her own name and say multiple years she's always refuted this. It's never happened in a statute of limitations. Like, there's nothing here. There's just nothing there. They should go away. Kenneth, don't drag the kids into this. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, Blake, how do we wrap this up? What's next on this?
I think Trump has to probably defy this. I think we talked about it on the show the other day, Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Dr. Brooks Agnew, Mike Barron, and we agree that Trump should just rebel on he shouldn't be missing his son's graduation. He doesn't have to show up in court that day. He should go to his graduation. And if they want to do something about it, then they should have to send the authorities to the graduation and make a spectacle of themselves.
It's all such a nothing burger. There's no there. I'm going to use my Van Jones, but it's keeping Trump off of the campaign trail, Blake. Look at Stephen A. Stephen A, I don't know where is he from? I feel like he represents New York. I don't know if that's because he likes the Knicks. But Trump can't be on the campaign tour. Could Donald Trump win New York? That city has been bombarded with this Obama, Biden, Newland, Mayorkas open border train wreck. Could Trump win New York City and take the state? If he's forced to campaign in New York, I mean, he's in the bodegas. He's there. He's making the most out of the situation.
Popular in Harlem. People in Harlem loved him. I mean,
how unexpected is this?
Yeah. So if he's got Harlem, they're in big trouble.
And he does have Harlem, right?
At least with that appearance, it seems like, he's the people's champion. So and they're tired of all the shenanigans going on with Mayor Adams and the immigration and all the other woke policy garbage going on. Yeah, New York is turning into a shithole again. So after Giuliani cleaned it all up, and now it's coming apart, and people are leaving in droves.
In all areas of life, all walks of life, rural, city. I mean, common sense is common sense. The more I've investigated and dug deep into the process of determining who becomes president. I'm just not entirely convinced that these look at the map. Just look at that picture map where it's red or blue. The whole nation is red. There's a couple of blue splotches in heavy city areas. I mean, these are the dense population centers where it might be the easiest to kind of put the invisible hand, if you will, and nudge things into the proper categories and the proper boxes. From Harlem to, I don't know, the plains of Nebraska, it seems like the country wants a real boss to take this control of this country again. Go be the captain of the ship, stand on, grab the wheel, please. Like we are being pulled into the ditch, and it's like you got to grab the wheel from the bus driver. The bus driver's out. If the bus driver isn't doing it intentionally, he's asleep behind the switch. So, yeah, not elected, selected. Well, let's talk about that, Blake. Continue on that topic about articles of impeachment. Do you agree or disagree that these articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas violated the Constitution?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to wait. Let me read this real quick.
How did you
articles of impeachment against Mayorkas? No, I disagree with that.
There we go. Well, you wrote it, so
I know I did write. I had to remember. Like, wait a second. Where's that quote coming from? It's coming from. Speaking of New York, it's coming from Chuck E. Schumer.
You know what, Blake? We talk about this, like writing these little captions, because Blake and I produce the show. He does some graphic. Like Blake and I produce the show. We do what we do. But I was listening to Brian Regan, one of the best comics of all time, talking with Adam Carolla, like in a sit down. I don't know, in Reno or something. And he said, with jokes, you usually just have to speak them out loud. And I often say, like, once we have these little titles here, these little articles of impeachment against Mayorkas violated the Constitution. Wait a minute. So if it's a double entendre and a bait and switch, you gotta think and take.
Right. I don't want to give it too biased. I got to get little people to think. Okay. No, so I even fooled myself with that one, almost.
No, but okay. So Mayorkas, unpack what's going on with this. Clearly, we're anticipating the Senate to just take these articles up and get to work, but instead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start here. Republicans fuming after DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas narrowly dodges his impeachment trial, saying you will reap what you sow. Senate swiftly rejected both articles of impeachment against the DHS Secretary by 51 to 48. That's because, the Democrats have that majority. That's a big deal. It's all party lines, effectively ending the trial that the House triggered with its narrow vote to impeach in February. Republicans swiftly blasted the outcome on X, with Greg Abbott weighing in to see if Secretary Mayorkas will not be held accountable for refusing to follow federal law. Why should any American be accountable for refusing to follow federal law? Says the Senate sets a double standard for Americans, and you will reap what you sow. Yeah, it's sad that the Democrats are just a cult. They're a tribe. They just always vote the same way. And there should have been some that stepped away to be like, yes, this is bad news.
Well, Blake, this isn't a disagreement on the volume of postal vehicles that are going to be converted from gasoline to electric powered vehicles by 2037. Like, we're not talking about these structural, planning, budgetary things. This is criminal. This is suicidal. This is blatantly unconstitutional and treasonous.
Yeah.
Who steps in here? There are states, 50 states, that are only held together because we share a common boundary. When I'm out there with the power washer, the square of concrete, it's just filthy. But as you power wash, you cut a line across and you draw around the edges and you box it in. The boxes are sanity. The stuff inside are the minimum requirements that it takes to keep the chain link fence connected. If there is no immigration policy, if there is no border policy, there is no nation, there is no agreement, there is no government, there is no country, there is no society, there is no sovereignty, there are no rights. That is the link holding the chain links together. Who in the world can step in to stop this? If the Senate is going to ignore what is obvious, where are we supposed to look to resolve this mess?
That's a good question, Ryan. It's sad that this has happened. And back in those days, yeah, we didn't have a Department of Homeland Security. And it wasn't this, political spectacle where they're going to bring this guy in. So his job is to keep the homeland secure, which he's just letting anybody in here. We've got, criminals coming in from Venezuela or from anywhere. We don't even know who these people are. Unvetted, illegal invader immigrants, alien, whatever you want to call them, are pouring over millions, tens of millions now. Was it? And who knows how much worse it's going to get if Biden were to get reelected and we get another 4 years of open border policy. That'll be the end of our country. So we won't have to worry about that anymore. And a lot of it is because of this Mayorkas. But he's maybe the fall guy, but he's allowing this to happen. This seems like it's part of an agenda. And this is part of the, Democrats, political survival. They have to win this election. They need the illegals to perhaps, to keep the vote for them. And it's kind of a win-win. They get to stay in power, and the illegals get to stay in America and be legalized. And then they will have a majority, and that'll be the end of our country. Anyway, yeah, so he deserves his impeachment.
Anyway.
It's sad that none of these Democrats had the balls to side with the Republicans on something that shouldn't be a partisan issue. But we do have, let's pull this up, we do have Mike Lee going against Chuck Schumer and this crazy Patty Murray. So I don't know. We want to watch Chucky Schumer. Schumer is arguing for the dismissal of the Mayorkas impeachment. Let's see. Who was presided over the worst border crisis in American history. And in doing so, they upset 227 years of congressional precedent. Schumer absurdly argued before that the votes of the articles of impeachment against Mayorkas, as the question is, violated the U.S. Constitution. He claimed they did not allege conduct that raises to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor as required under Article 2 of the Constitution. Why? Because he said so. And they've got the majority. So Mike Lee responded, if this is not a high crime and misdemeanor, what is? And then you've got this stupid librarian interrupting him. Well, we'll get to that.
Madam President, as wrong as the majority leader was moments ago in making this particular point of order as to Article 1 of the impeachment articles. Article 1, remember, refers to the willful defiance by Secretary Mayorkas of the law. As wrong as he was in making that as to Article 1, and he was very wrong for the reasons articulated moments ago by the senator from Texas, he is even more wrong, far more so, with respect to Article 2, because Article 2 accuses him of knowingly making false statements. This is a violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1001, a felony offense. If this is not a high crime and misdemeanor, what is? If this is not impeachable, what is? What precedent will be setting? We need...
As soon as he's rolling and on fire and making sense, you got this crazy lady interrupting, much like the other idiot, Jamie Raskin, interrupting Comer the other day.
Can you rewind it again? Yeah, he was getting fired up. Can you roll that back another 20 seconds? Let's hear that again.
Very wrong for the reasons articulated moments ago by the senator from Texas. He is even more wrong, far more so, with respect to Article 2, because Article 2 accuses him of knowingly making false statements. This is a violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1001, a felony offense. If this is not a high crime and misdemeanor, what is? If this is not impeachable, what is? What precedent will be setting? We need to address this. And
Patty Murray needs to get the hell out of there. She should be impeached for interrupting. This is an interference. People need to hear what this man is saying. It's amazing.
To discuss it, we need to discuss it in closed session. For that reason, Madam President, I move that the Senate proceed to closed session to allow for deliberation on this very consequential point of order that he's just made, that violates hundreds of years of Anglo-American legal precedent and understanding on the question required by impeachment Rule 24.
Yeah. It's amazing. So that's what happened. So we've been kind of looking forward to seeing Mayorkas get impeached for allowing this massive crisis, which could be used, against Americans if these people are allowed to participate in the voting process. And that is another story coming up on our agenda today.
If you're ready to jump to it, I mean, is there anything else we want to wrap up on this one? Like any other perspectives?
Yeah, well, we didn't, wanted to see it happen, but there's not a majority in the Senate, and none of the Democrats had the balls to,
But they voted now, right?
Right, with the rest of their crew.
But can we say that the Democrats have voted now? It was an official vote?
Yeah, it's 51-40? Yeah, it's over.
Okay, so they're all on record being open border people, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 51-48.
I mean,
yeah, they don't care. Well, like I said, they need to win this election or they're done. And if they can get these millions of people legalized to vote, that'll keep them in power. And if there's more illegal invaders over the next 4 years, another, I don't know, how many is it? I think we've lost count. There's so many gotaways. I would say tens of millions, but it's going to be, what is it, 10, 11, 16? I've heard many different numbers. But imagine what it would be in another 4 years.
Right. It's hard to quantify just how bad things really are. Like, this is beyond calling it a crisis. I mean, that makes it sound like the weather was bad for a while and you got to clean out for a flood. That is not what we're talking about here. This is all intentional, Blake. So let's bring up this question here about voting. Do you agree or disagree that illegal aliens should be allowed to vote, but only in federal elections?
Yeah, this is crazy. Let me find this one.
What up to Unholy Hoax? While Blake finds that really quick, you're watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X and the nextlevelnews.com. And be sure to check out the newamericanmedia.com. I'm going to be making some revisions and edits to that site coming up soon. So that is the main hub to find us. If you lose track of us on any of these other networks, the newamericanmedia.com. Dreamer says, it's hard for me to understand the motives of these people, because my brain is just not wired to think that way. Yeah, Blake, you got to be wired in a very specific way.
This is very Machiavellian, ends justify the means. You want to win the election at any cost. And so you're willing to import illegal invaders in order to secure that. Willing to lower the voting age to 16 if you could get away with it. Wanting to make, same-day registration, let all the prisoners vote, whoever you can. But that's exactly what it is. Machiavellian, ends justify the means. And it's not, we've lost our way. And it's very high stakes. More than ever. And here we go.
Arizona here.
Okay. Well, in this race to the White House, illegals will be casting votes in the crucial swing state of Arizona. So their voting laws have paved the way for non-citizens, whether they are legal or not, to register for and cast a ballot in the 2024 presidential election. So I said, even if the state can't verify whether you're a citizen, people can still assert that they are citizens. Now, those people will not be allowed to vote in the state elections, Arizona local stuff, but they can still vote in the federal election.
According to who? There is no union, Blake. There is no country if that's true.
Well,
there is no nation to even say
right.
if that's true.
Right. So this is what they've decided in Arizona. And that maybe was that why Trump somehow lost Maricopa? Is that how somehow why Carrie Lake lost against that other crazy lady? I already forgot her name, Katie Hobbs.
Oh yeah,
It's good. But I mean, that's a local election. But in the we still have no idea how Trump lost Maricopa to Biden.
it was weird when Sheriff Joe Arpaio was ran out of there. That didn't make sense either.
Well, because he wouldn't have dealt with this open border shenanigans. So he was arresting those people. Any of those people that were illegal, invaders of Arizona would be, locked up.
Isn't that like the basic minimum expectation that you're expecting?
Yeah, you're in the country illegally. Who are you? Especially if you got a criminal record. Yeah, you're going to jail. Oh, yeah, you can come to America, but you're going to go to jail until you get deported. That's the way it should have been. Go through the right way. Yeah.
All right.
Well, they had to get him out of there. So that's why, George Soros, funding the other sheriff to run against him.
There's the name of another group that's popped up recently. Do you know who I'm talking about? Tip of my tongue. It's not BlackRock or Vanguard. There's the name of someone that they're kind of assuming that Soros is the front man for now. I keep hearing this new group that they're the ones behind all of this. Because we always ask who in the hell is like ultimately making these decisions. I'm gonna have to. In the comments section, do you have any idea what I'm talking about? It's like the Liberty Foundation or the one of these NGOs or something.
He's got all kinds of groups. I don't know exactly which one it is.
Yeah,
Through the Road or
all right. Well, we'll
fund so many of those organizations. It's hard to keep up with them.
And I think we've reached the point where it's obvious that the NGOs are really the problem. They're operating by proxy, all the things that the government cannot do, like getting banned on Meta. It's like they can offload it to AI and just go, well, it was a system that did it. Oh, it wasn't me. The Five Eyes program. You're like, you can't spy on President Trump. You go, well, if I tell my friend over there in Great Britain and my friend down there in Australia to maybe have their intelligence agencies follow Carter Page and maybe follow some of these other guys. How about Papadopoulos? How about Trump? If they find it and route it back to our CIA, then Obama could be sitting there in his basement eavesdropping on Trump to take over the campaign. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, what's going on in Russia, Ukraine? It's a war by proxy. That's what they were trying to do in Syria, trying to fight Russia in Syria by proxy. It's just they're not just directly doing anything. It's all kind of one layer of separation. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I have no culpability. The plausible deniability. They ask in Men in Black. They go down into the main gate, the storage area where the UFO is, and I believe it's the president walking through, and he looks at his advisor, or Will Smith's there. I can't remember. He says, "How in the world do we have a budget for this place? Like, I've never seen anything like this on a budget." And he looks at him and says, "Well, you don't think we really spent $5,000 on a toilet seat, do you?" So it's all kind of baked into the system, and it's all obscured. But I don't know. If we don't have elections, right? I guess we're just floating rudderless at this point. If anybody can vote on the Baseball Hall of Fame, I guess it doesn't mean anything anymore. I can't believe we're at this point that anyone is okay with this. This is like the most basic thing it's a line that cannot be crossed, yet here we are.
Yeah.
I know nothing, I see nothing, says Kenneth.
Right, but here's an interesting twist here. We got Bill Barr saying that he will vote for Trump for president after he, hurt Trump for those years, and says that a Biden term is another one is national suicide. And
the first one was Bill Barr turned on Trump. The first one was a national suicide.
Yeah, so he's kind of realizing, what did we do here?
The era.
But I do want to point out just a quick video compilation of some of the things going on and what the shenanigans we witnessed on election night.
Tuesday.
A water pipe has broken in State Farm Arena.
Oh,
State Farm Arena is where they were counting the absentee ballots of Georgia's most populous county, and now the tabulation has stopped.
It's Allegheny, which is Pittsburgh, but also Beaver, part of our county to county, Butler and Westmoreland. They've all stopped counting for the night. They've gone to bed. They begin.
Go to bed, America, and then you wake up and realize that Biden somehow got these huge ballot dumps in the middle of the night.
At 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Good morning, Heather. They did have to press pause overnight. They will be back in a few short hours, expected to resume counting around 8:30 this morning.
Fulton County is now going to stop counting at 10:30 p.m.
Yep.
And we'll resume.
This would be a good time to remind everybody, even though I know it doesn't work because my video was denied, CISA.gov/rumor control. CISA.gov/rumor control for countervailing views on the 2020 election because they think it was the only election in the history of elections that was perfect with no fraud. And Biden clearly, legitimately won, even though no court had really unpacked that case in any way.
And Bill Barr was no help.
Dreamer says the Bill Barr comment is clearly theater. He wants to show that there's some separation between Democrats and Republicans, and we know this is BS. Well said. Barr, I'm done with Barr. He's dead to me. But yeah, I mean, under duress, YouTube took another one of our damn videos down for no reason, just for no good reason.
YouTube again or Facebook?
Instagram disabled our account today because we mentioned fractional reserve banking because it was a video of a guy that went to the bank and they wouldn't give him $5,000 of his own money. And so I mentioned fractional reserve banking. They said it was spam, and I'm locked. Basically, I have no functions. I can't see messages. I can't share things. That's what just happened on Instagram for the New American Media. And then what was the other one? YouTube has now removed about 5 videos in the last month and a half. Usually, if you mention vaccination in any way, they will do that. And so I think they have eased their terms a little bit on what they will allow our dear rulers at YouTube. But please subscribe to us on Rumble and Odyssey, ODYSEE, the New American Media, because our videos live on in other places. So when YouTube throws them down the memory hole and pretends they don't exist, they do. And go to thenewamericanmedia.com because we'll keep archives of those there. But yeah, Blake, a lot of censorship right now, a lot of craziness. You know, if Bill Barr was going to do something good, we would have seen it by now.
Well, yeah, he could have probably prevented some of this stuff to happen by allowing these trials and to see the evidence. So now he's made this mess. But yeah, speaking of censorship, even Tim Pool got hit hard. YouTube, even retroactively against 2 of their biggest shows with Joe Rogan, Michael Malice, and Alex Jones, shows that were 3 years old.
Oh yeah,
giving them BS reasons for the removals.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly what I'm getting caught up in as well. They've cranked the heat up. They've turned it from 71 degrees. They've gone to 88. You can feel that. Was that 17-degree difference?
Yep.
They're definitely going for it. These videos are from 2016. One of them was from us last year, so maybe 8 months old. One from 8 years ago, from 8 months to 8 years. They don't give a shit. They're just turning the pressure up because they're deep state assholes, and YouTube, Google is a shit company. So follow the New American Media on Rumble, please, and on X at American_media_. Patreon.com/the New American Media and the newamericanmedia.com. Yeah, it's craziness, Blake. Go ahead. Let's wrap this video up, and then we'll bounce to Speaker Johnson.
Yeah, this is all a quick review of just what we saw before.
Resume their count at tomorrow morning.
They basically stopped counting tonight. They're going to start counting again in a few hours. It's already tomorrow morning, right?
The election workers stopped counting those mail-in ballots at 10 o'clock. They will be back again tomorrow at 10 a.m.
And Nevada says it stopped counting the votes yesterday, election day, but they don't say why. Why did you stop counting them?
Here's where it gets really bizarre. Fulton County, most populous county, it is Atlanta. They just stopped counting at 10:30 p.m.
Who gave the order?
They stopped counting their absentee ballots. They said they pick it up in the morning.
Gave the order to stop counting that night? Who gave the fucking order? This is, did you call a code red? You're damn right I called a code red. And I do it again. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. You're damn right I called a code red. Who called for them to stop counting the fucking ballots on that election night? Who made that decision? Who made the call? Where did that come
Bill
from?
Barr. Imagine if it was Bill Barr. I mean, he would be one of the people powerful enough to maybe make something like that happen, but I don't think it was. But yeah, it would have to be somebody very, very high level, and they deserve to. They should have explained why this happened. It's amazing. Even CNN, they were like shocked. They weren't ready for this.
Well, how were they not in on the script though? Shouldn't they have been?
Everybody was. Yeah, I don't know. I think they were probably surprised to watch that play out themselves.
Because maybe that was like their fourth fallback plan. It's
That's
like
too
it's
many
a
loose
terrible
lips.
idea. We should never do this. But oh my God, if everything else goes wrong, I guess it's our last option. That's how obvious they did this.
Right.
Anyway, all right, let's wrap up this video.
Stopped. Mike Armstrong is in Pennsylvania. Mike, we're talking about Allegheny County. That's the area around Pittsburgh. What's happening?
Election workers in Allegheny County are back to work after pausing counting overnight.
Butler County had to press pause on counting ballots. Nevada, meanwhile, has stopped counting votes until 9 a.m. on Thursday.
A water pipe has broken in State Farm Arena. State Farm Arena is where they were counting the absentee ballots of Georgia's most populous county. And now the tabulation has stopped.
Okay.
Who gave the order to stop counting on election night? Who gave the order? We've lived through how many elections, Blake? We've never seen this shit before. I don't want to hear anyone's
crazy. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist, Brian. And
yeah. All right. Let's switch topic here and spin over to, instead of President Trump, well, let's talk about Johnson and Trump. Blake will, hold on, agree or disagree? I'm not setting up the question properly. Name of the show is the Agree to Disagree Show. So, Blake, do you agree or disagree that President Trump will lose voters if he continues supporting Speaker Johnson?
I think it's possible. I don't know if it's going to be that significant, but it's a good thing to make him aware of what's going on. As you know, Trump has kind of tried to buddy up with Johnson, and they did have that. We covered that in the last show. That they were going to try to force the Democrats to ensure election integrity by forcing the Democrats to vote, for against illegal aliens voting in this year's election, which would be huge, and it could be an absolute game changer if it goes through. But unfortunately, we've seen a lot of other problems here from Speaker Johnson, and they're talking about ousting him, and he's getting under fire from many in his own party. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, now Rand Paul, and many others. So either calling him for either resign or he's going to be ousted. But Rand Paul put this as a warning to Trump. He will lose his voters if he continues to support Speaker Johnson. And I think, yes, it's good to mention because he needs to be aware of what's going on here. So they reported earlier, Joe Biden, the Democrats, House Speaker Johnson, and all of the rhinos are colluding on an aid package for Ukraine, another $95 billion, which is going to be $60 for Ukraine, 23 for weapons stockpiles facilities, also to Israel. And what it kind of breaks down here, I won't get into all of the details, but also for something to do with taking some of like Russia's resources. It's just a lot of bad stuff. We don't need more aid for Israel, and of course they did nothing for the border.
Well, the Russian resources are Burisma. That's what's going on with Ukraine. It's an energy grab.
Oh, here it is. Ukraine $60 billion, Israel $26 billion, Indo-Pacific $8 billion, the TikTok ban, and the Repo Act, which is for Russia, to seize Russia's assets to give to Ukraine. So it's a lot of, issues with that. So he's not on her side, whether he's compromised in one way or another. And it's probably time for him to go. And so he's really not going to be the ally for Trump that some think he is.
Well, I mean, we've watched it. I mean, there was a little bit of hope with McCarthy. There was a little, I mean, it didn't last long. And he dropped enough breadcrumbs, Blake, to kind of Oh yeah, some good stuff's coming. Oh, I got some good stuff. Okay, well, can you give us something? Yeah, we're working on those good things. The good things are on the way. It's like there is no damn time here. When you reach the speaker position, that's number 3 in line for the presidency. Like that is one bad Air Force One. Like that is right there. You just kind of have to wonder what happens to anybody in that position. I mean, we watched Nancy Pelosi and all of the, we watched which direction she took the country when she had the chance. And this isn't good. And we've had some hopes for Speaker Johnson, but he hasn't, what's he delivered? FISA? Who wanted FISA? He's delivered more money to Israel and Ukraine. Is he Hakeem Jeffries on the Democrat? Like, is he even on the MAGA side? Like, that's not MAGA agenda. What agenda is this? He was the tie-breaking vote, right? I just
right.
He's on another planet,
right? So he's he's falling out of favor, and it's time to move along.
All right.
And
well,
so
do we have any names yet? Do we know who is being rumored to perhaps replace him?
Sure, the same ones we had last time, and I don't know if the Democrats are going to vote for any of these people. So it took a while after McCarthy. Huh?
You just have to assume they won't vote for any of them.
Well,
right?
and it's a very tight majority. So what are they going to do? I don't know. Or it could be maybe they're going to vacate the position again. I don't know.
Well, they say that the House is playing with stupidity and fire here, that you're going to end up with the Speaker Jeffries. Like, you're really going to have the turncoat Republicans handed over. And you got the apologists and the hopium addicts that are trying to sell you. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. See, that'll be great because then Republicans' hands will be off of it. They won't be in charge of House or the Senate. And you're like, are you out of your mind? This hopium stuff is so stupid. Like it trying to spin everything into a positive. Some things are very not positive, and there is no spin that can save it. So anyway, I don't think Trump's going to lose any voters, but I don't think Johnson is long for this position. Very quickly, I could see it happening where he would be ousted. But like you said, Blake, with the stranglehold there is, maybe he's just going to be stuck in place because nobody else is going to get the necessary votes. And this is the inertia. I mean, Mike Johnson feels like the government's been taken over in a totally different direction from the party. What the hell do you do then? I don't know. We'll keep our eyes peeled and see.
Yeah, and
what
this
they do.
statement for here is just completely false. We want to give another $60 billion to Ukraine, and he's out speaking about this. We can't allow Vladimir Putin to march through Europe. There's no intention of going through NATO countries and going through Europe and taking over, Europe cultural, all these other cultures. You can't do that. So he's just trying to liberate a couple of the regions of Ukraine who have, are aligned with Russia for hundreds of years, if not longer.
Well, you just have to wonder what's going on. It's like if this was Victoria Nuland in the deep state pushing for this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, they can strategically plan as well, if not better than China can. People always look to China. It's like, oh, they think in 1,000-year plan. It's like, well, yeah, but our government's definitely doing it too. But when Johnson used to be in favor of normal policies, but then he becomes speaker, you just have to wonder what was he told? Who pulled him aside? What conversations were had? And you just assume that it's a deep state influence, CIA saying, look, here's our plan. Here's the play in Ukraine. It looks like shit. The voters hate it. We are moving money here. These are old arms. These are old weaponry. We're going to just go through here. We're going to explode them off. It's creating new jobs. It's kind of how this thing works. But they're not supposed to tell you that. So we just play this game where we pretend. And it's like, it feels like we're capable of having an adult conversation about what's going on with these long-term plays. But there's no explanation given. It's like they consider it to be a trade secret, trade craft or whatever. I don't know. it just seems like if we knew what the long-term play was here, maybe some of this would make sense, other than our government's been taken over and they're trying to wreck everything. They're intentionally trying to wreck everything that was good. If that's the case, the people that are making these decisions have to stop making policy decisions. And look, Victoria Nuland is gone now. She's no longer at her post screwing up geopolitical affairs. So the end of that chapter has concluded, but now Mike Johnson's just doubling down. More Ukraine, more Russian stupidity. We just got a hard on for this, and we will not stop until we get into Russia. We will not stop funding this proxy war through Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine. I don't know. Once again, here's another story that we'll keep our eyes peeled on. If Speaker Johnson leads it forward or if the next one does. Anyway, we'll keep it peeled. Any final thoughts on this topic?
Nope, let's roll.
All right, Blake, agree or disagree that it's wonderful. Blake, agree or disagree that it's wonderfully poetic. That's a tough one. They're magically delicious. It's wonderfully poetic that the prosecution of Trump is by black people. Blake, agree or disagree that it's wonderfully poetic that the prosecution of Trump is being done by black people?
No, this sounds like something an insane person would say, or somebody who's just trying to create controversy. So, Brian, do you know who said it?
No. I can see on the screen. I mean, the one who's culturally appropriating Donald Trump's haircut.
Right, there you go. Good one. Yes, MSNBC's Joy Reid celebrates the prosecution of Trump as racial revenge. So it calls it, quote, wonderfully poetic form of racial revenge. For me, there is something, about the fact the first person to criminally prosecute Trump is a black Harvard grad. She said on MSNBC. In fact, why don't we just roll the clip here?
Man,
straight from her mouth.
That is incredible.
Prison. But for me, there is something wonderfully poetic.
Wonderfully poetic. Oh, look at the little smile on O'Donnell's face here.
About the fact that despite the fact that even if convicted, he's not going to go to prison, the first person to actually criminally prosecute Donald Trump is a black Harvard grad, the very kind of person that his former staff, the people who worked for him, Stephen Miller, etc., want to never.
You got to think, some of these people must have some kind of a conscience and must be just like really uncomfortable. They're like, oh my God, this crazy bitch again. What the fuck? And I got to sit here and try to make this look legitimate. And you can just see like the body language. Oh my God, here we go again. Crazy Joy Reid.
Be at Harvard.
So you just saw Chris laugh right here. Like, oh my God, did she just say that?
Let's rewind. Let's say that again.
Yeah.
Stephen Miller, etc., want to never be at Harvard Law School, but he was. And he came out and graduated. He's prosecuting you, Donald. And a black woman is doing that same exact thing in Georgia. And a black woman forced you to pay a $175 million fine that's out now also in question because the people who put it up, that might not be legit.
It's awesome that, we had a kind of a divided country for so long. And now we've reached this point and we've evolved in this great direction where everybody of every culture is allowed to, go to the highest levels of learning and be all that they can be in this world. And instead, she's using this as like some kind of a smear after like Trump. Like they finally got these big oppressors. Like Trump was like some kind of a bad guy that needs to be brought down by minorities so we can finally have justice in this country. But this is just shit she's making up in her twisted brain.
Well, you know what, Blake?
Donald Trump is
this. It's just so reminiscent of when we went to the 2016 RNC in Cleveland, and we were there with so many different media types. And as you watch the Trump derangement syndrome begin, it was before it really had a name because it wasn't really taken seriously until after he won. So when we saw that, it wasn't fully developed, but it was a lot of Scooby-Doo masks. And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you pesky kids. If it wasn't for you rascals. If it wasn't for you pesky kids. Hearing her say something so vile and racist and just gross, disgusting. Her mask is off. She's being her authentic self. This is inside the mind of the crazy contingent that's trying to hijack this country and steer it into the wall, to roll it off of the road. Here we are, folks. Scooby-Doo mask off.
Yep, and she's still there. I can't believe they haven't canned her yet. But she's still talking, creating a controversy. But hey, it gives us something to talk about, I suppose.
Being held to account by the very multicultural, multiracial democracy that he's trying to dismantle.
What?
And
what is he trying? He's trying to dismantle that. He's saying, "Hey, let's send the blacks all back to Africa." No, that would be a good reason for her to come in swinging, but that's not. This is just all manufactured garbage, manufactured outrage.
Actually, Blake, if you remember back, wasn't it Joe Biden that famously shouted at a group of mostly
like Charlemagne the Great show
that
right.
He's going to try to put y'all back in chains?
Oh yeah,
that was a Biden, right? He threatened. That's the divisive racial tribal politics that Joe Biden creates. They're going to put y'all back in chains, he said.
You ain't black, and if you're not going to vote for him,
Trump's gonna win New York. He's gonna win the boroughs. This is gonna be such a blowout. If it's counted accurately, this is so obvious.
I agree. All right. Well, let's. I think I'm had enough of Joy Reid.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if she continued and had any other.
Oh, there's like 14 seconds left. I don't even know if it's worth it, but yeah.
The answer is no. It's not worth it with her culturally appropriating haircut. Okay, Blake, agree or disagree that we should teach all public school kids about the history of communism? Agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree with that. I think that's a great idea. I think people like these younger kids, especially, they glorify this communism as some kind of a great thing, or that we need to transition. It's the evils of capitalism, but then there's reality. And you're talk about Cuba or Russia or some of these places. You don't have people loading themselves up on a raft in the middle of the night and in shark infested waters, trying to escape the horrors of free market capitalism, so they can go to Cuba and live in paradise under communism. No, communism is awful. It's been awful everywhere, and there is no good form of it. There's this, at some point it's all going to level out and all the workers are going to benefit and it's going to be the great paradise on earth. No, it's not. These people will never relinquish their power. They love it. And it's going to be, and people need to know the history of it. And I'm not saying maybe they could do, certain pockets of, if people want to, try it out and show us this ideal form of government, go for it. But it hasn't worked anywhere yet. Every place has been an absolute hellhole that has tried this. But Mao's China or Stalin. I mean, everything has been awful. Pol Pot. Where has communism been great? So it's all theoretical. But here's Ron DeSantis has signed this bill. So Florida school students will receive instruction on the history of communism after the bill was signed into law on Wednesday, requiring public schools to implement age-appropriate teaching lessons on the history of communism beginning 2026. So we've seen what's happened on the island of Cuba because of totalitarian ideology, communist ideology, and you've wrecked a society because of that tyranny. DeSantis said the evils of communism often get lost in the shuffle of daily life. He added that some colleges are trying to rehabilitate communism, to whitewash communism, to make it like it wasn't, that wasn't true communism. So there's apologists in our society. And what we're doing today builds off the stake in the ground that we planted in the state of Florida many years ago when he became governor. And we're going to tell the truth about communism in the state of Florida. And there's probably no better place than Florida, since it's right off the coast of Cuba. where people have been fleeing for decades on said rafts through shark-infested waters to get out of the hellhole of Fidel Castro. And his son, Justin Trudeau in Canada.
Yeah, I was disappointed when Tom Green brought up Trudeau but wouldn't take some shots. He alluded to it, but he wouldn't go there. It's like, Trudeau. Oh my gosh, there's nothing good about what Trudeau's doing up there. The course that I took was like what was it? Econ 385 or 365. It was like the economics of socialism, communism, and capitalism. And this guy was just a dyed-in-the-wool Marxist, a real nasty guy. Didn't like me at all, and changed my grade. I got a better grade, and he lowered it, and so I appealed it. And the guy went in and just, according to some of the people in that room in the college, they ran an audit since the grade was disputed, and it was incorrect. Like I got certain letter grades on my grades, and that counts for 70%. Like, here's the syllabus, here's how I determine it. And he just made up some BS and turned my class participation or something subjective to lower the grade. Yeah, and that miserable little man, he ended up taking himself out of this earth shortly after that. But it was really, once again, he took his Scooby-Doo mask off, and he was really angry and bitter and jaded and selfish. And that's what communism is. It's the government of greed. It's just whatever somebody else has, I want that. I want to go get that. It's just it's being governed by greed. It can be packaged neatly, but if you can think back, Blake, it wasn't too long ago where the Biden administration, the former Vice President Biden administration, they were trying to put harsh limits on people coming into the United States from Cuba. Do you remember that? It was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, after Fidel fell, and there was like a power vacuum, and the country went dark for a while.
Yeah,
pretty
and
terrifying.
so they don't want Cubans who are fleeing communism because they would hate what the Obama, Biden, Newland direction is, because they're fleeing it, their failures right down there in Cuba. So yeah, good on. Look, I like when we're back in this version of reality where we can bring up Ron DeSantis in a pleasant way. I don't have to call him Little Ronnie D. We don't have to be angry at him. I just like him stacking wins in Florida. But it's like I've said, and I proposed this multiple times, maybe it's time to have a Florida attorney general file criminal charges against Letitia James, against Alvin Bragg, against these judges for the violation of Florida resident Donald John Trump, for violations of his civil liberties. The resident of Florida, file charges. Like, if we're going to have these conversations, you cannot allow the Democrat deep state to be using lawfare to just ruin lives, because if they're allowed to do that to him with infinite resources, they're coming after every one of us. And so it is very important for Ron DeSantis to kind of keep that trajectory moving in the right direction. I'm happy he's back where he belongs, Blake. So yeah, let's definitely teach the kids about the history of communism. Speaking about the Bill of Rights and the amendments here, as we start winding down the show, keeping it a tight 90, as our aim is, Blake. I appreciate that. I think keeping it a tight 90 feels good. And today felt choppy. It felt chippy. It felt it felt like it was chugging along. I don't know. I'm not saying that right at all, but I felt like today had a pace to it. It had a measured pace, a focused pace, and I appreciate that.
So
did you notice a different pace today?
Well, we're not completely done yet, but yeah, I like the pace of the show. Yeah, I like to keep the shorter the better, is my opinion. 60 to 90 tops.
Yeah, so we're aiming at the 90 here, looking like we're gonna coast in. The weather's here. We're seatbelt on. We're preparing for landing. So here we go, Blake. Keeping in tune with the civil liberties and the First Amendment, being in this one, agree or disagree that the First Amendment is the #1 challenge for censoring bad information? What an interestingly phrased thing.
Yeah, that's coming from the new CEO here of NPR. Catherine Marr says First Amendment is the #1 challenge for censoring bad information. So she's been in hot water for a response that senior editor, yes, that's Yuri Berliner's allegations of internal political bias on the network. And I think he was suspended for a few days and then he just resigned. So he's out for blowing the whistle on the extreme left-wing bias that has taken hold of NPR over the last 10 or 15 years. So now they got this other just total woke, radical, left-wing lunatic that they're going to be putting in there. It's probably a good time to go. She's been dinged by critics for past leftist comments and just entered the spotlight again after a new video shows her saying that the #1 challenge in her fight against disinformation is the First Amendment of the United States. Like, really? So here it is. We'll roll this 30-second clip here and hear it from herself.
The #1 challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust.
Like it's a bad thing, like to have freedom of speech.
It's fairly robust.
Yeah, for somebody like her, she wants to control reality and she doesn't want to have anybody disagree with her. So it's like, yeah, some awful bot. Yeah, and you know what? If you work in a corporation like that, then you can do that. There might not be freedom of speech within those confines. You don't want to piss off the boss, and she's always right. And there you have it. But she's going to be ahead of a major media outlet. That's pretty alarming stuff.
Of rights and that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that
so it's like, when you got banned by Meta or when you were getting YouTube videos pulled. So she thinks that's a good thing that they can have that right to just trample your First Amendment right to speak.
Oh, is that I think that's the word I was looking for. Atlantic Council.
Of where does bad information come from?
Well, there it is.
Sort of the influence.
So, yeah, there we have it.
Sorry, I talked over the last part of that, but
no, that's fine. That's what we got it.
Yeah, the Atlantic
It's tricky
Council.
to censor bad information. Well, according to who?
Exactly. According to who? You don't get to determine what is true and what is false. I get to determine that.
Right.
There's been too much gaslighting of 2 + 2 = 5. I'm not playing that game. Not doing it. Thanks, but I'll pass. All right. So yeah, this NPR thing is just it's gone full absurd. But I guess I'm here for it. Why not? Let it go absurd. It feels absurd.
Well, it's fine. If she wants to run the organization however she wants it, that's fine. But she shouldn't have any control over anything else. And she's just going to put NPR into the ground, and that's fine. Get rid of NPR. But it shows you how much journalistic integrity that they care about these days. So it's not. They don't value freedom of speech. They took their one critic that's dared defy them and showed them the door, and now they're just going to turn into woke radical leftists. And they're going to lose their viewers, and good riddance.
Good riddance. All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on that. I feel like she has been propped into a position of prominence. Ooh, that was a triple word score. Triple P. Propped into a position of prominence for propaganda purposes. That was a 5-word score.
Nice.
For propaganda purposes. I love word games. We should play more of those. Anyway.
Well done.
I feel like people don't play board games and word games and stuff like we should. I think we're designed as social creatures to do that. I love doing that. Anyway, I think we're going to be hearing from her quite a bit more. She appears to be featured prominently in season 2024 of the USA. This season, she's going to be featured prominently. I guarantee it between now and the election. All right. A woke dope indeed, Kenneth. All right, get your last comments in, please, here on the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. NPR for me is DNR. Ooh, that's not DEI, which stands for what, Blake?
Diversity, exclusion, something. I don't know.
It stands for didn't earn it.
All right. Oh, that was the last part of the Joy Reid thing. I guess we lopped off. Was that she was like, "Yeah, go for the DEI."
Yeah,
pull that clip up.
It's diversity, equity, inclusion, but in reality, it turns into she didn't earn it, is what that is. NPR for me is DNR, which is do not resuscitate. All right, well done. I love the clever wordplay. Okay, final topic here. Blake, agree or disagree?
Wait, hold on.
What?
Let's go to that last crazy lady. Here we go. Is it ready?
Oh, I did not know we got more of Crazy Lady. Here, let me switch back.
There she is.
I can't hear
Okay,
it.
Brian, you keep talking over it.
It's not playing on my side, Blake.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to look for that. They got that thing. Here we go. Last time. Oh, now it's not going to run.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, it'll reload.
In prison. For me, there's something poetic and actually wonderful about that. It says something good about our country that we're still capable of having that happen. Go DEI. My DEIs are bringing it home on.
Okay, go DEI. My DEIs are bringing it home.
Wow.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious. Scooby-Doo masks are off. I love it. Okay, final topic here. Agree or disagree that comedian Dave Chappelle was visited for a correction on his views?
Yes, and I'm going to agree with that. And, I actually heard that years ago. It was 2017. I was at the Gaia headquarters. We'll do a little name dropping here. I was in Boulder, Colorado. I was hoping maybe I could get hired there, but it didn't happen. I actually heard it from Jay Widener, who mentioned this. And it was like, I believed him, but it was like a wild story about Dave Chappelle perhaps being visited. Like, I don't remember exact details of it, but I thought it sounded like, Dave Chappelle just like woke up in his room and there was Bill Cosby and Oprah Winfrey were there, like basically telling him, I don't exactly know the specifics, but that, things were going to change. Like he was becoming a super huge megastar and getting the big contract from Comedy Central. That was a huge hit show. It was one of my favorite shows. Just, yeah, he was killing it. He was so good during those years. And I think he got a little too big and he wasn't under control enough. Now, I did not see the entire Cat Williams interview where he mentions kind of a lot of these different things and just trying to kind of keep certain people under control. And I think this is something that did happen to Chappelle. Apparently, he got pretty spooked. And I did see this clip. It was from Jim Brewer on the Roseanne Barr's show.
That's right. That's where this came up again, too. So hold on. This story, I'm sorry, there's a lot of names. We got Jim Brewer. We got Dave Chappelle. We got this story. Did it come from Cat Williams or it came from Dave Chappelle? I'm sorry, like it all kind of blurred together.
No, the Cat Williams was way after. I don't know if you mentioned that because I know you saw it. I saw parts of it. I didn't see the entire 2-hour broadcast, but just basically like getting the black men to wear the dress or to submit, and they would have like great careers
because
they're blackmailed, compromised, controlled. But then Dave Chappelle, when they came for him, like it really freaked him out. And I think it was it starting season 3 or 4. I can't remember which season. It seemed like the first couple seasons, and all of a sudden the Chappelle show, all of a sudden he went to Africa, and then that was basically the end of the show. And so it was weird. And so one of his best friends from back in the day, Jim Brewer, and he's talking about this to Roseanne about what happened. But I don't think he gave the exact names. But
when we were filming a movie, and he also had a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
From HBO and or not HBO, Comedy Central, and all this shit, right?
The worst bunch of people on earth.
Horrible.
Pause it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
He then, while he was on the show.
Yeah, I think I brought this up. Maybe it was the show that you were gone, and I talked about this. But right there when I watched it, I went, oh, and I instantly remembered when you and I were there, and the Daily Show producer was throwing his chicken wing at Joel Pollak with Breitbart outside the Milo event at the 2016 RNC. And like both of them, they're like, oh, those Comedy Central people are the worst. It's like you really get that impression. Joel Pollak could not. I know who you are. I know what you do. I know what you've done to my friends, and you're not doing it here. Like they knew exactly what was up. That's why that whole event happened that we caught. Scroll back and find it on the YouTube channel for the New American Media. But yeah, they hate the Comedy Central people too. Just an interesting point. I wanted to pause and mention that to you.
Yeah, I don't think they even wanted to give Dave Chappelle a show at first, and they got talked into it, and it was, wildly successful, and they ended up or they were completely wrong and had to admit it. So I don't know who they got running that organization, but they seem to have mismanaged it outside of a few stars that still managed to break through. So let's keep rolling.
When it was blowing up, and we remember the Aspen Comedy Festival? I don't know.
Yeah, that was fun. I did that too.
He came there.
That's kind of a tie-in. So I was in Boulder, Jay Widener in Colorado, and then talking about the Aspen. So maybe there was a connection, because I was kind of curious how he would know something like that. But he's an interesting guy.
Out.
Yeah.
I said, what's going on? And all I could say is he was visited.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And when he told me who visited him, my heart stops for a second. I'm like, get the fuck. And I'll never forget, he went, "You believe me, right? You believe me, Jim, right?" And I could, he's like, they came to me. And he said the names. I'm like, get the fuck. And what happened? And then all of a sudden he went to Africa.
Yeah, that's what I remember happening. But they never really said what happened. Was he threatened? I mean, I don't know how much you
I don't have.
You can't.
That's none of my business.
Okay.
But I know for a fact.
He was corrected.
He said, correct.
Yeah.
He was, hey, by whoever it was. Hey, we need to have a conversation. Would you like some of your own coffee in your house? What? Yeah, like that heavy shit. And that's the first time, I would. So when I saw him come back, there was a lot less communication. And maybe he just, maybe he just grows, whatever. But I can honestly say, and maybe I'm crazy and I am crazy for saying this. When I saw him completely come back, I really questioned if that was him.
Yeah, I know, right? I think that's.
And I know that's really crazy.
I think those same things, yeah.
Pause it right there. So I've also heard that going into the real far reaches, kooky conspiracy theories, that there are some sort of like clones, or if you get to a certain level, like you'll meet your clone, and either you play ball with these establishment types, or you'll be replaced, and it freaks them the fuck out. Some of them. At least Dave Chappelle, like some of the ones of the good conscience, but who knows? We don't know exactly what goes behind the scenes, and it just sounds like outrageous. And I would never report if Brewer wasn't talking about this. I would never come on air and say, "Oh, I heard that Dave Chappelle got visited by Oprah and Bill Cosby."
Well, he didn't.
Room, right?
I watched this Roseanne Jim Brewer conversation earlier. They didn't mention names. They didn't say Oprah Winfrey or Bill Cosby. Where did that come from?
I think it was also on this tweet here. Well, I heard it from Jay Widener, and I just thought it was, I believed him, but at the same time, it sounded nuts. And I thought I did see somewhere else that they reported that.
When were you told that again?
This was like 2017.
All right, so you're really connecting dots, because Jim Brewer was scared to say who it was, and so the question is, do you need your own clone?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'll see if I can even find. I thought I did see that somewhere. I don't know who said it.
No, I mean it might be floating out there, but either way, he got popular in entertainment. He got popular in Los Angeles, and everything went.
Yeah, right here. Well, this is just goofy shit. I don't know who this person has. No credibility, I don't think. But says Oprah and Bill Cosby forced him to quit. This is from 2014. This is how old that tweet is. So maybe it was. Here's another perspective. Dave went crazy because Oprah and Bill Cosby were going to kill him. This is just from April 13th.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on since 2012. These are old rumors. Well, even 2009. Oh wait, that's something else. But yeah, Cosby and Oprah terror. So for all I know, it's not like maybe Widener even heard this direct. Maybe not. Maybe he saw the same kind of rumors, and we're all just sitting there talking shit. So it was like, oh, okay, well, that sounds crazy, but maybe it's true. And we were, is that Gaia? So I mean, Gaia covers a lot of, out there woo woo stuff. But I have no idea. I can't legitimize any of this. But I know Dave Chappelle seems like one of the most authentic comedians, one of my favorites. And then all of a sudden, like at the height of his fame and popularity, as he's getting this gigantic contract, he all of a sudden quits his show and goes to Africa. It made no sense.
Kenneth saying Dave Clone Pell. Yeah, I met Dave twice. Once I left him alone because he was right next to me getting ice cream with his family at Young's Dairy down in Dayton, in Xenia, Yellow Springs area. And second time hung out with him having coffee and a cigarette in Yellow Springs. He went to Ohio. He went to the farm in Ohio. He got the hell out of Los Angeles and went to Africa, ended up in Ohio. It's an interesting story. We should get Jim Brewer on the show. It'd be very interesting to unpack some of that. But yeah, I mean, is it even the same person that you're seeing? Is it Damar Hamlin? Is it Eminem? There's so many names. Britney Spears. I don't know if there's any more that come right to the top of your mind, Blake, when we start thinking about who, as we scroll through the news, who do people often say has been cloned? Damar Hamlin, Britney Spears, Eminem, Chappelle. I mean, this is a jacked.
Yeah, who's ballsy enough to want to even?
What's that?
Well, who's ballsy enough to even try to report that as legitimate? It's a step too far for most people to wrap their heads around, even for me. But I could see it's plausible. But I mean, yeah, if somebody was an insider enough to talk about that, they could be putting themselves in danger as well. But yeah, this is an old theory, so there's tons and tons of tweets about Cosby and Chappelle and Oprah. It's not something new.
Well, if you happen to stumble across any particularly fantastic ones from a credible source, tag at American_media_. And if you're not following Blake, he's at TV's Blake Walley on X. He also puts his archive at thenextlevelnews.com. All right. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Yeah, Roseanne, she's making interesting news. She has been for a while now. And what did Cat Williams say? 2024, all will be revealed. It really seems like. Oh, yeah, Tom Green did a joke about that. He's like, did he? I think he did. It's just like I love the economy of words in that joke. That was pretty funny, but
right.
Yeah, well, Tom Green mentioned something about that too. He said, I was at the height of my career. It was 1999. Eminem singing about me, but it's cool for Tom Green to hump a dead moose. My bum is on your lips. He's like, I made these songs. I was from Canada. I ended up in Los Angeles as on top of the world. He's like, and then all of a sudden it all just stopped. He's like, I got testicular cancer, and then I couldn't get on a TV show. He goes, Trump fired me. He tells the whole being fired on Celebrity Apprentice story. It's pretty funny. I won't check it out. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, it's like you go from relative obscurity from a cable access channel to like the biggest thing out there. Because really, for a year or two, Tom Green was the biggest thing in that. It was just like everywhere you looked. Yeah, and Dave Chappelle right around that same time. It was like Chappelle could do no wrong. It was just like it was the perfect TV show at the perfect time. But it was simpler times, Blake. The 90s were so different. I feel bad for the kids that didn't have a chance to like grow up cognizant of what a special time the 90s were. So, yeah, from Diddy to did he? Exactly. All right, Blake, we'll keep our eyes peeled on the Dave Chappelle story and other interesting woo-woo stuff like that, because that's interesting to me. Because I'm an adult, I can have open conversations and, oh my gosh, NPR lady, I got bad information. It's called a conversation, you nitwit. We are allowed to talk about any wacky theory, including a sky being providing me an afterlife and having spiritual thoughts about religion. Like, don't tell us what is allowable speech and what may or may not be bad information. That's for us to discern. So, some of these stories about budget appropriation bills and, oh my gosh, there's turmoil in the Middle East. Surprise, surprise. I love talking about these interesting stories because I think they're under discussed. So thank you for bringing that one today. All right, Blake, final word for everybody on your way out the door here on the Agree to Disagree show. Any final thoughts? Anything coming up this weekend? Anything you're excited for? Thoughts on the WNBA draft? On your way out the door, any final thoughts?
Well, I guess I'll be excited for the NFL draft. That starts next Thursday. So,
1 week from today.
Yeah.
Ooh.
First round, so I can finally put this. I'm so tired of mock drafts and all of these speculations. And what are the Vikings going to do? Are they going to trade up and get a quarterback, or are they going to stay put, or whatever? I just wanted to get there and see what happens and get excited about next season.
The Vikings sure have positioned themselves to get a quarterback, especially letting Kirk Cousins. Where did Kirk Cousins go? Not to Washington. Atlanta. Oh, that's going to be weird to see. But look, Kirk is consistent, reliable, but you guys wanted more. I get it. I'm a brat.
Well, I like 4 years at $180 million. No, I like the guy. I would have loved to have him stay 1 or 2 more years, but 4 years, 180. Nah, it was too much. So I understand the business part of it. So,
and I think that's why Baker Mayfield ultimately ran out of Cleveland, was for that amount of money. We might as well go get Deshaun Watson. It's just Watson hasn't been impressive. So anyway, we'll talk about that stuff more on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show moving forward. But for now, I will bid you farewell. I appreciate every one of you out there in the TNAM universe. Patreon.com, The New American Media. The New AmericanMedia.com is the place. At American_media_ on X. Instagram, you might as well. Maybe they'll let us back on the platform tomorrow. Thanks, Meta. Appreciate you so much, Meta. You're the awesomest people ever, Meta. There we go. Giving a double barrel salute to them. But we are The New American Media on Meta. Facebook, we got a page, The New American Media, and the Agree to Disagree show. Yeah, we tried to get somebody into the Agree to Disagree show, and literally we typed it exactly. They will not show you our show sometimes. And the feed was glitching on X all day today. I'm not sure what's going on, but hey, it's par for the course, I suppose. Rumble, thenewamericanmedia.com. On Rumble, we are The New American Media. Find that account, hit subscribe, because we want to start pumping these out and redistributing live feeds there on the Restream app. I think we need like 50 more subscriptions. So do that. And sign up for the podcast on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree show, and Truth Social, The New American Media. All right, signing out from the TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
Thank you.